All right, we are going to look at the pros and cons of buying a lakefront home in Central Florida. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to wake up in the morning, go outside with a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, sit down and see a beautiful, serene lake in front of you, and how relaxing and calming that would be? Well, a lot of us have, including myself. And having had the opportunity to help people buy lakefront properties, I can tell you right now that it's just plain gorgeous. Now, what are the pros? What are the cons? That's what we're going to talk about. So the first thing as far as a pro goes is, of course, scenic beauty. You have this beautiful lake in front of you. Hopefully you have a great view of the lake inside and out. And it's relaxing, it's calming. You have the ability to do a lot of things, whether it's going fishing, boating, entertaining on the water, skiing, jet skiing, all of those things. So you have a lot of water sports that you can be doing. Not to mention, if you're on the chain of lakes, whether it's the Winter Haven chain, the Butler chain, or the Claremont chain, you have the ability to, go out and, go to dinner, have a couple of drinks, and then come back. And you usually, half an hour, 15 to 20 minutes, let's just say, depending on where you are, on which lake in the chain, from access to any of the different restaurants. And so there's a lot of opportunities there for relaxation, for entertainment. If you've got a party boat, like a pontoon boat, a big one, then you can have friends come over and you can go boating around with a pontoon boat and sightsee, take pictures. There's all kinds of really cool things you can do on a lake besides just look at it. The next thing is property values. Lakefront property values tend to stay higher than other property values because the lakefront, just like other things like a pool or anything like that, tends to keep the value higher. And so you have more chances for appreciation over time. You have a lot more privacy and a lot more peace. I just sold a house on the Claremont chain, and this is on the chain of lakes. And we went in to do the walkthrough, and we were asking them about the pontoon boat, which my buyers purchased separately. And when we asked them, we said, "Where's the key?" And they're like, "It's in the boat. It doesn't get out of the boat. It just stays there." So literally, they've been living there for years. And their pontoon boat, which was an expensive pontoon boat, it's almost a 28-foot pontoon boat. They're not worried about it because they live in a very private, exclusive area, and nobody in that area is going to come and steal from them, which is really cool. Okay. If you're considering making a move to Florida, especially the Central Florida, Tampa Bay area, down into Sarasota, Manatee, up into Orlando, let me know. I can answer any questions you have. I can definitely help you kind of figure out what areas you want to move into. All my information is in the description below, or you can contact me through my Calendly link, which is talkwithvince.com. Now, the next thing is going to be the cons. And I'm going to move my stuff around here so I can see better. Sorry about that. All right. Neighbors. People can be a big con. You don't know what your neighbors are going to be like. You have to explore that thoroughly before you make a purchase because, if the neighbors don't work well with you, if they can't, figure out what your lifestyle is, then you're going to have issues. I mean, there's just no other way of putting it. If you are a person that likes to entertain, you like to have music playing when you're entertaining outside, you've got barbecues and stuff going on, and your neighbors are like 80 years old and everything upsets them, you're going to have issues. So you're going to want to explore your neighbors. And I'm telling you, people can be the worst thing about purchasing any home, whether it's on a lake or off of a lake. Neighbors can make or break your experience in buying a home, and it can be heartbreaking. Because if you have bad neighbors, then you have a bad experience, and then you end up losing money trying to get out of that neighborhood and move someplace else because it's going to drive you crazy. And so, people. Now, do the neighbors jet ski? Are there a lot of loud parties? Is there a lot of loud music? Are those things that upset you? If they are, that may not be the lakefront community for you. The other thing is many homes on the lakes require flood insurance. If the home has an AE for flood zone, that means that it's going to require flood insurance. And that's going to require you to pay every year for flood insurance, unless you just don't want to. But if you're buying the house with financing, you kind of have to. And so that flood insurance may go up every year. It may go up twice a year, depending on, any kind of storms that come through the area or anything else. So that's something to consider. Another point is maintenance concerns. Because you're looking at waterfront property, whether it's on the chain of lakes or whether it's oceanfront, you have more issues with moisture, mold. You have to upkeep your dock, erosion, even seawalls. A buddy of mine had a property over in North Florida on the Swanee River, and they'd had that property for years. And all of a sudden, the seawall started to kind of like crumble. And it was going to cost them $100,000 to put a new seawall in. And there wasn't that much. It was like 75 feet, 50 or 75 feet of seawall. It was going to be $100,000. And so you want to make sure that whatever property you're looking at, you understand the maintenance issues, whether it's, erosion, whether it's mold, mildew, fungus, whether it's, the dock that needs to be redone every once in a while because, of course, the wood is going to end up getting waterlogged at some point, and then it's not going to be safe to use. All of those things are going to, affect you and affect your finances in trying to keep and maintain that house. Moisture inside the house because of the lake can sometimes be an issue too. It just kind of depends. So that's something to think about. The next thing is wildlife. There are going to be places where you're going to have alligators. Every body of water has an alligator, at least one. And so you have to make sure that you're willing to deal with that. I don't have an issue with it. I've been around gators my whole life. I've been around snakes my whole life. There's more snakes where there's lakes than there are where there's not lakes. There's more gators where there's lakes than there are where there's not lakes. Bugs. You're going to get more bugs because they tend to like that moisture to be able to lay their eggs. And, you're going to get a lot of mosquitoes. We call them skeeters. But you're going to get a lot of skeeters. You're going to get a lot of that kind of stuff. Can you live with that? Is that something you're okay with? Now, if you're in a lake community where there's not a whole lot of trees, there's not a lot of vegetation around the lake, and they keep it sprayed down, which to me is kind of a shame because it limits the amount of wildlife you'll see, that might be different. But, you need to make that determination based on that particular community. And all of this also is, how you feel about it. Some people may not have a problem. Some people welcome wildlife. They want to see deer. They want to see raccoons. They want to see possums. They want to see things. They want to be able to sit in their back porch and watch all this happening. Other people are like, no, get away from me. I don't want to be around any of that stuff. And then there's also, the last thing is added regulations and restrictions. There are communities like in Bel Air, Florida, on the beach, Bel Air Beach, where each individual community, whether it's Indian Rocks, Bel Air, Sand Key, whatever it is, each of them have their own regulations and restrictions on different things. So you can be here and have a top or a roof over your dock. So you can have a 2-boat dock with a lift and the whole deal, and you can have a nice roof over it, and it's all beautiful. You go to the next community over, let's say it's, you go from Bel Air to Indian Rocks or whatever it is, and they may tell you no roof. Why? It's their regulation. You have to ask them, but you have to make sure because if not, you could end up buying a home thinking that you're going to be able to do what you want and then finding out that you can't. And so each community, each city sometimes is going to have its own regulations. Haines City's regulations are different than Winter Haven. Bel Air, I found out, different than Indian Rocks. And so when we bought a property, I helped a customer buy a property in Bel Air on the water, right on the bay, 140 feet of bayfront, his regulations were different than if you went a mile up the road to another community. The regulations were completely opposite. And so you need to know these things ahead of time. There's, HOA rules that change in different lakefront communities or oceanfront communities. It just kind of depends. So when you're looking at lakefront communities, you want to make sure that you know exactly what the regulations are. And you want to know, and this is something that you also want to take into consideration. There's a huge difference, not just in lifestyle, but also in price between living on a lake and living on a chain of lakes. So let me put it to you this way. If you're looking for the ability to go out and, do what we talked about before, drive around the chain, go party, go have some drinks, go have some dinner, and then come back. Chain lakes is fantastic, but there's a higher cost to buying on the chain because that's something that everybody wants. That's the kind of lifestyle that they want to live. They want to lead, put it that way. If you're just looking for a home on a lake, that's a completely different thing. Now, you can find homes on lakes in Auburndale, on lakes in Lakeland, on lakes in Winter Haven that are not on the chain. And they're going to have homes that are going to be a little bit less pricey. Some of them are going to still be fairly pricey, but they're going to be a little bit less pricey. And you're still going to have lake access. You're still going to be looking at your lake. And so you want to make sure that you know what your lifestyle is. If you just are kind of like, well, I might go out on the lake and fish, from the dock every once in a while, or take the boat out and do a little fishing here and there, or go skiing or jet skiing, a lake is fine. But if you're like heavy into it, a lot of fishermen like to go from lake to lake to lake on the chain, especially if they're in competition or if they just want to be able to move around and find different places to fish. Same thing with people that are jet skiing, water skiing. They may not want to stay in the same area. They may want to go someplace else. If there's a lot of stuff going on, they may want to get away from it. And being on the chain allows you the opportunity to do that. It also gives you more places to go sightseeing wise, looking at homes, looking at wildlife, or whatever the case may be. So those two are going to be different. Okay, that's what I've got for you on today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions about lakefront properties or even oceanfront properties, I've dealt with both. All my information is in the comments below, or in the description below. If you want to reach out to me, just go to www.talkwithvince.com, schedule a Zoom with me, and let's talk. Have a great one. We'll see you on the next video.